Hello, business building warrior. Welcome to an all new episode of Silent Sales Machine Radio, the only podcast in all of e-commerce that we're aware of that features hundreds of success story interviews with the students and listeners of the show. That's right. We don't just bring you our opinions. We bring you the results of the people who are listening to what we teach, and we share their stories. I love that about our show, and I love the fact that we're quickly closing in, believe it or not, on 1,000 episodes, which just seems crazy to me. And the vast majority of those episodes are interviews with students who are applying what they've learned here, and they've gone on to succeed. That's what we do. Today's no exception. We're going to have another guest on the show in just a moment with Brian and Robin Joy Olson. Of course, they're of Coach's Corner fame on the show once a week or so. They come on and either deliver some great actionable content from their own coaching experiences and their own business, or that they bring on a guest and have a conversation with them. I'm very proud of the fact that for over 20 years, we've been doing e-commerce coaching in this community. I've proudly attached my name to it the entire time, making us the longest running e-commerce coaching company in the world, to my knowledge. If you find one that's been around longer, please let me know, and I'll start saying we're the second longest. But 22 years at this point, nearly 10,000 students coached. And Brian and Robin Joy, who you'll meet in just a moment, are two of the great coaching directors on our team. So we've got about 60 coaches divided into 3 teams, and they're one of the coaching directors. And they love doing podcast episodes, and you're going to hear from one of the great coaches on our team along with them here in just a few minutes. Something else I'm very proud about our community and this podcast is the fact that the vast majority of the shows you're going to hear are getting into the weeds with very real people who are trying to build a very real business using, again, the strategies from the proven Amazon course. And as we head into the summer of 2024, as we're cruising through it right now, that course just keeps getting better and better. If you haven't heard yet, for example, we've just added the proven brick investing course, which is something we sold. It's coming up on 9 months or so ago, maybe a little longer ago. And for those of you who said, I think I'll just wait until it's added for free to the proven Amazon course. Hey, you were smart. That's fine. We don't mind that at all, because all proven Amazon course students should know that we add new content constantly to the course. So if you see us come out with a new Amazon seller training of any kind, you should know that eventually it's going to end up in the proven Amazon course library. So if you're paying $39 a month, you get everything our team produces. Tens of thousands of dollars of content and events are in the proven Amazon course. If you don't know what the proven Amazon course is yet, get over to silentjimdotcom. Click on the proven Amazon course link, read up about it. It keeps getting better every month. And that's just the latest example of an added value content module that's in there. And that proven brick investing is all about Legos, all about toys, how to buy and hold toys from a guy who's done millions of dollars of toys. Fantastic opportunity. Just the latest example. So proud of this community for so many reasons. We've passed 76,000 members in our Facebook group now. It is by far, again, from my vantage point, by far the most active, spam-free Facebook group for Amazon sellers in the world. We'd love to have you come join us. It's completely free. Again, a link at silentjim.com if you want to go check it out. Hey, today's episode, let's talk about it just a little bit. Like I said, Brian and Robin Joy bring on Ammi Stover. She is a respected, trusted leader on our team at this point. She's a coach for us. She came in as a clueless newbie not that long ago as a teen. She'd never had a real job. She'd never had a business. She jumped in and started selling on Amazon. Several years later now, she is a fan favorite of many listeners to our show. At our conferences, she speaks. She's very precise. She's very intentional. She tells it like it is, and she is sharing her story again today with some great updates. Her business is doing really well. She employs her sisters, who many of us met at our last conference. So quite a team. Ammi and her sisters build a beautiful business, and we love hearing updates from them. So we're going to hang out with them here in just a moment as I turn the microphone over. One last announcement. If you happen to be new around here, I got something free I want to put into your hands. It's a book that's sold through Amazon with thousands of 5-star reviews. we've updated it. We've got version 11 of the book that launched this podcast. It has the same name as this podcast. It's Silent Sales Machine is the name of the book. I want to get it to you completely free, no strings attached. There's no snag here like, oh, you got to pay $3 for shipping. No, completely free. We want to send you the PDF. We want to send you the video. Actually, the PDF isn't quite ready. It's video audio only right now, but it's version 11. Go to silentjim.com/free11. FREE11 as in version 11 to get a free copy of that. And it's going to be me talking to you, helping you discover where you are right now in regards to the business opportunities that are available to you online, where you should probably look next, where you should definitely avoid based on, again, 2 decades of experience and tens of thousands of students in our community. So that's our gift to you. If you haven't been through that yet, there's some really good stuff in there. I'd strongly encourage you to spend some time with that book. I think it might really help you out. And with that, let's jump over and hear from Brian, Robin, Joy, and Ammi. Enjoy the rest of today's episode.
Welcome back to Silent Sales Machine Radio. We are your co-hosts. I'm Brian.
And I'm Robin Joy.
And this is Coach's Corner. Today, special episode, a Coach's Spotlight. We're joined by Ammi Stover, joining us in the Coach's Corner. How's it going, Ammi?
It's going very well, Brian. Thank you for asking.
Great to have you here. I know
it's great to be here.
You've been on the Silent Sales Machine Radio a number of times, going all the way back to when was the first time? Do you remember exactly when you were on?
397 was the first time. It was about 2.5 years ago, right after I signed on as a coach.
Okay, great. And just to give everyone kind of an update, like you've been doing this for, how many years have you been doing Amazon exactly?
Well, Amazon I got into in 2016, but I've been selling on eBay since 2013.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, over a decade.
More than a decade. Wow.
Yeah.
That is, and you're so young.
In many ways, I grew up in e-commerce, Brian.
Yeah. That's
And most of my adult life, coming up on half my life here fairly soon. Not quite yet.
So business is good still. Obviously, you're still
It's changed a lot over the years, going from just eBay to selling on Amazon, and then in more recent years, adding in Walmart. How I've sourced has changed.
I imagine you've seen a lot of changes on all of these platforms, haven't you?
Most definitely. Change is the only constant.
Yeah.
You're used to doing something a certain way, be it a shipment or how you source or where you go for goods, and then something changes. The market desires something else. And how well you do in business is reflected in how well you see that change, adjust to it, pivot to something else, and bring the customers what they desire now.
Wow, that was well said. I really like that. That's a good point and well taken by all of us.
Mm-hmm. So we got a chance to break some bread with you and your sisters at the Proven Conference earlier this year.
Yes, that was
much fun.
It was kind of crazy though, because we broke for lunch and then everyone like swarmed to the restaurant area and we went to order pizza and it took like 40 minutes to get a pizza. And so then by the time we sat down, we had like 4 minutes before we had to get back into the conference center for the next session.
Yes, because you two were speaking the next session. Mine was until the following day. So I had time, but
we
you
were
didn't.
It was nice to be able to sit and chat with you, though. We don't always get to chat with other members of the leadership when we're at the Proven Conference.
No.
It's nice that it worked out. We got to have a few minutes together. So that was great. Mm-hmm.
I was just glad I saw you and you were still available and we could spend at least a couple minutes getting to know each other.
Wolf and pizza.
I've seen you around for years. We met years ago at a Proven.
Oh, sure.
But like you said, leadership is all busy. We're all to our coaching students, meeting new people, making sure the event runs smoothly, trying to not be late to any session we promised to be at.
Right. Especially
making sure everything goes smoothly.
Well, it was a great conference. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. Boy, I just love the energy in those conferences and getting to meet so many people. It's just a really great time. And we had Again, a great conference this year. Can't wait for the
I would rank this as one of the best conferences
Yeah.
I have ever been to.
Really, that's great.
So what would you say maybe set it apart this last year?
There's going to be a number of things that played in. Part of it was where my business was at that moment
Mhm.
and what I was looking for from the conference. But like last year, when I attended the conference, I knew what I was working on. I had my focus. I knew how I was going to get to the place I was going next. I had a plan of each step and I was taking each step. I wasn't going to the conference looking for something for me.
Mhm.
I went to the conference to serve everyone there. But there was no one particular thing that I said, I really need to get this for me to move my business.
Mhm.
And that was something that I knew I wanted to change for this year. That yes, we go to the conference to serve, to meet people, to give of ourselves for dozens of hours and be utterly exhausted when it's done. But
True.
I also need something for me. I can't give for 4 days straight and wonder what my business got.
Yeah.
I need to have a little something that gets me a step further forward. And this year, I was just getting into Walmart when we attended the conference, my sisters and I, and we had decided that between us, we would make it to every single session on Walmart offered at the conference.
Mhm.
And between us, we pulled that off. There were a handful that overlapped, but when there's 3 of you, you just lit up,
That's great.
get whichever ones you need to.
That's wonderful. I'm glad you found
So
something.
we got a tremendous amount of Walmart learning and knowledge from those other people who have sold on Walmart over the last 1 to 2 years, most of them,
Mhm.
and came back with a ton of ideas that we need to implement. And we have been working on implementing.
Interesting.
So we actually picked up Walmart. There was a strong Walmart vibe
Mhm.
at
Almost
this last
definitely.
conference. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so when we got home, we opened our account and listed things, and we're selling things on Walmart now too, which is like
Totally new again.
it feels like the first time, like the very first time we sold something on Amazon, like when we sold something on Walmart, we're like, wait, you sold something. Yeah.
Yes, I can relate to that.
As a coach, I'm sure that information that you're testing is going to be really, really valuable
Mhm.
to people who work with you in that area. Tell us about being a coach. What do you like to coach? What are some of the things that you get a lot of questions about? Tell us a little bit about how that goes.
I've been a coach with Jim Coaching for about 2.5 years now.
Mhm.
I've seen quite a few coaching students come through. And as you said, there are themes that come up, recurring topics that people struggle with, topics that fascinate and they want to look into more, along with chief challenges that I see people facing, that I faced at various times, that they influence how you do business and the path that your business takes in the future, be it good or bad, and depending on how they handle it, will dictate whether it's good or bad for them. One of the common mistakes that comes to mind is students who come into the community, look around, see all the ways that you can do this business. RA and OA and wholesale and PL and bundles and consulting and liquidation and buy and hold. And the list goes on and on. And they say, oh, that looks wonderful. Someone did well with it. I should do it too.
Mhm.
And that may be true if they choose one thing and they focus on that for an extended period of time. I recommend to my students an absolute minimum of 6 months on a sourcing method. If not 1 year. I usually do 1 year in my own business. I would never go under 6 months to have chosen a focus. I'm going to learn whatever, RA sourcing. I'm going to try the following techniques. I'm going to go to store 3 days a week. I'm going to search for 4 hours. And I'm going to do this 4 months. 6 months or 12 months. And then you've tried it. You've given it your best effort. You've given it hundreds of hours. If it didn't work, it wasn't because you bounced around too soon. If it didn't work, it was because it didn't connect with you. You didn't find the right types of sources.
Mm-hmm.
It's not where you need your business to be. But there are a number of reasons why it won't work for any particular person. But you have to give it long enough that it has a chance of working.
So it sounds like you like to help people have a clear plan of what exactly they're trying and understand all the pieces of that before they get going and give it a fair shot time-wise. Would that be fair?
For sure, Robin. I've always been very organized, and people come to me for that.
Get that feeling about you. Mm-hmm.
You need a plan. You need to know what your end goal for this stage of the journey is. Not that success is a destination.
Mm-hmm.
It is not. It is a journey you take that changes every time something in the market changes and or anytime you get close to achieving whatever goal it was that you set before you. You suddenly dream up a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And off you go on your journey towards another goal. You never arrive. Life is lived along the journey.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to build the journey into the life that you want to live, because that's where you're going to be. It took me 10 years from when I was 15, listing my first item on my sister's eBay account with absolutely no comprehension that e-commerce retail is a thing, or that I had stumbled upon a livelihood, to the day I became $1 million seller.
Wow.
So
10 years.
that's great. Before we move on from that, can you just take a minute and tell us about how your business has evolved over the last 11 years, like kind of what things you started with and where you are today?
Good question, Brian. It started there with a couple of things to sell, and my sister offered me her eBay account to sell them on. People may not realize that you cannot have an Amazon or eBay account until one is 18 or older. So I did not have the choice of having my own until I gained a few more years. And she introduced me to how to list an item, how to ship an item once we actually got a sale a couple months later. And I just took it and ran with it. Sold hundreds of things that my family was done with, and learned a lot about how much time it takes to pack and ship something. And if you make $2 profit on something, or if you make $17 profit on something, it costs you the same amount of time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And after a couple of years, I decided, I really don't know where I got this idea, but I decided to start looking around on eBay for something to buy to resell. And I stumbled upon a bulk lot of some products that I recognized, and it was like 140 or 150 units of something that no one would ever want more than free. So I bought it and paid like $206 for it, split it up, sold it out over the next maybe 6 months, and sold it for over $1,000.
Oh, that's perfect.
And that was very amazing.
Oh, bad.
I made back my purchase price within like 6 or 8 weeks, and then it was just pure profit. And it was a teeny tiny lightweight item. I did free shipping on everything, and it cost, I think, a flat rate package a first class package was like $396 or something. So I just knew every time one sold, it'd be just under $4 to toss it in a little tiny bubble mailer and send it out.
Oh.
And right about that time, one of my brothers saw a training about selling on Amazon and introduced me to the idea that Amazon is somewhere that you can buy, which I'm not sure if I knew at that point, and it's somewhere that you can sell, which I definitely heard of in my life. And so with the earnings from that business, working in my mom's business, a few other side jobs that I had between 15 and 18, I took my bank account of $5,250 and got into Amazon. That was back in the days of scanning barcodes and searching clearance aisles. And that was what the training talked about. So off I went to do some RA with no car, no credit card, and no cell phone.
Oh, my goodness.
That did not last very long. I went back to that training, found a little bit about online arbitrage and started doing OA clearance for a while. To this day, OA does not make sense to me. It does not connect with my brain. It's not part of my entrepreneurial fingerprint.
Okay.
Which I was alluding to earlier, in that you have to choose one thing that you go after, and not all of them will be for you. OA is not my thing. It probably never will be. And that's okay. I found what worked for me. I do that. And everyone else has to find what works for them, one type of thing at a time. And once they know it, they've learned it, they've bolted it down, then they can choose another thing to add on and expand their skill set and find what types of sourcing work well for the unique person that each one of us is. And that's something that coaching can help you with.
I agree.
Talk with your coach and see what you're after, what is working for you, and they can hone in what you're looking at and tell you, this is way out there. Walk away at least for 1 year, 2 years, or this is a good idea. Head this way. I think it will fit reasonably well with you. So there I was doing a little bit of OA, but totally not doing well with it. When I bumped into my first exposure with wholesale. And I got big into wholesale there, did wholesale for years. And that was within like 6 months of my getting into Amazon. It's not something I recommend jumping whole hog into wholesale with its tremendous lead times and all the front loading that you have to do. And you have to test a lot larger for most of the wholesale accounts. But it's what I found that worked for me. So I did it, I ran with it, and for many, many years, I had an exclusively wholesale business. And I had done over $1 million in wholesale by the time I met Nathan at the conference 4 conferences ago and became a coach with the team. It was about 3 months before I attended my first proven and met the leadership team that I had decided to branch out of being an exclusively wholesale company and get into replens.
Yeah, I remember this.
COVID was hitting wholesale very hard. Availability was very low. People were not expanding who they were selling to. They just did not have the supply. So I wanted to add in replens and take my catalog, which was somewhere around 45 ASINs at the time, and grow it with several hundred replens ASINs. Today, I have like 1,500 ASINs instead of the 45 I had back then. The replens that I've done is primarily RA, no surprise. I'm really bad at OA. When I stumble upon something accidentally in OA, it tends to be really good. When I go out and search for something, I get absolutely nothing worth considering. Yes, I do OA. It's like 3% of my company, and it's all stuff I accidentally ended up with.
Well, so from the early days of flipping things on eBay to discovering a little bit about RA to wholesale, and then back to RA for replens, kind of where's your business today? Is it primarily made up of wholesale and RA? Is that fair?
Yes, it is largely wholesale and RA. I am up to about 9% branded bundles now as well.
Okay.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So I'm sure a lot of people who are listening are hearing that you are a coach who understands wholesale well and also understands RA and even some bundles. So yeah, that you've got a pretty good, well-rounded business there.
And more than a decade in the biz.
A lot more experience in the business than we have.
Well, how long have you been in?
Well, we started doing e-commerce back in the early 2000s on eBay as well, but we only did it for about a year before we got sidetracked by some other things. And then our current Amazon business is just over 5 years old. So we might have 6 years in total experience in e-commerce, which, as fast as it changes, it's like dog years, right? I think it's like, 42 years in dog years. So.
That is a tremendous amount of experience.
Right.
And you understand where things are now. So even if you had 10 years of experience from 2000 to 2010, how much would that play in now? Some, yes, most definitely, but not necessarily very much.
Right. But what I was trying to get to is I need to get on your calendar is what it sounds like.
Yeah, that sounds like we need to get some things to learn from you.
I'm
Not
sure
least of
we
which is
all have
Walmart.
a lot of things we can learn from each other.
Yeah.
Yes, Walmart has been quite a journey this year. I had bread bundles in last year, doing more with that this year. And Walmart's the new thing we're trying this year,
Mhm.
trying to increase profitability and gain some more stability in the replen side of things.
Yeah, a lot of people are.
But it's a whole new project. Yes,
Mhm.
similarities with Amazon and things that are so different. For example, on Amazon, price at $9.99, do not price at $10. On Walmart, price at $10, do not ever price at $9.99.
Oh, really?
Oh, these are
Interesting. That's a good
tips.
tip.
So what most people wouldn't know is that just before we hit the record button here, Robin was over there fighting with Walmart. Oh, I got these I can't get this thing. It was listed before and now it's disappeared. And it's all the same struggles we were going through like with Amazon 5 years ago.
Just trying to figure out what I don't know.
But there's so much of it with Walmart. They're still figuring things out. They're a very clunky
That
system.
shows.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's so.
At the same time, it feels really good to be kind of in early. We wonder what that would have been like at Amazon, and I feel like it's still early days at Walmart. So
Yes, it is. I didn't see the Wild West of Amazon getting in
yeah,
Right.
2016.
No.
A lot of it was past by then. But now I get to see the Wild West of Walmart. No, you can't do that. Why? Well, be sure you open 254 cases. We might tell you.
Yeah.
Okay. We just one step at a time to build our foundation, as I tell my students. I know it's boring, but you don't have the foundation in place yet. You need to do what you have been doing. It's repetition. This is a numbers game. If you haven't sourced for a few thousand hours, you cannot expect to be good at it. You need to have that experience of doing this over and over and over and over again. And one day it'll all come together and connect in your brain. And there will be this moment in time that you can look back to and say, at this moment, replens made sense. I could go out. I knew what I was after. I could find it. There was a day that I could go and look for listings and realize 3 hours later, I have 40 new listings. This is as many as me and my team can handle this week in the new listing department. It's done for the week. I need to go work on my systems, shopping list build, because that was all that we could handle at that point in time. And it takes a while.
Very organized. It sounds like you really have a lot of organizational systems involved in your business.
Not as many as I would like, Rob.
Well, that says a lot, doesn't it?
Life organized, and I focus on things and make them happen. And I definitely lay things out in a system, and one thing follows another thing follows another thing. That just comes naturally to me. So it's what I seek to do. And I think it serves you very well in business as well.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of the people I work with need help with the organization itself.
Most of the students I work with in more than passing come to me for organizational.
Yeah.
For system.
That's what I was just going to say. Like we talked before we hit the record button, we were talking briefly about the organization is something that you really help a lot of new coaching students with. And then you mentioned something else. Like we don't want to deconstruct it here, but what is the term that you laid on me before we started?
The other project, that was reverse sourcing wholesale.
Yes, reverse sourcing wholesale. Yeah, this sounds intriguing. Like I said, I'm not going to ask you to diagram it for us, but how are you helping your coaching clients with this?
Well, it's really a simple concept.
Okay.
In wholesale, you reach out to brand owners and or distributors seeking to be an authorized distributor of their goods. The question is, do you start by finding brand owners to reach out to? Or do you start by finding listings that you would desire to sell? In reverse sourcing wholesale, you find a listing that you desire to sell. You like its velocity. You like how many sellers it has. You like its selling price. You like its star rating. You like how long it's been on the marketplace. You like the size of the brand, not too ginormous that they would never speak to a wee little buyer like me, not too itsy bitsy that you wonder if you would be able to buy a whole case every month. And then you seek a supplier for that. Maybe you can find them, maybe you can't. But if you do, and if they are willing to talk to you, and if you arrive at an agreement, which happens about 1% of the time, it's a numbers game. You front load it, sometimes for months before you see any results. Then you know that you have an account or a listing that you desire to sell. Because you've already checked all of those details. And that is what I took into RA when I got into replens. I did reverse sourcing replens. Do I desire this listing? Yes, I do. Now, where can I buy those goods, if anywhere?
I like it.
And there are plenty of ways you can do your reverse searching, but all of that would require some diagrams and some tools.
Sure.
But that's the essence of it. You look for a listing that you like, the competition, the sales rank, and the price.
That's very interesting.
Perfect.
And then from there, you go and seek a manufacturer.
So let me ask you, in your 11 years of doing this, from eBay to Amazon to Walmart, and maybe you've made some stops along the way at Etsy and Poshmark and Facebook Marketplace too. I don't know, but what was maybe the most painful lesson that you had to learn along the way?
Oh, that's a tough question.
I know.
That is a very tough one, Brian.
Going off script.
It's like that's me the answer and not you.
Yeah. I go through this all the time, Ammi. It's your turn.
Okay. Well, one thing that comes to mind right away is that when you go to hire someone, they don't want what you want. And I didn't even realize I made that assumption, but I did. I assumed that if I would not drive multiple hours to buy less than $5,000 of goods, neither would any person that I hired. And I was wrong. Just because that's what it would take to be worth it to me, given the time constraints I have, given the million things that I have to do to stay on top of each of my selling accounts. And as we mentioned, I have multiple now. Each one has to be managed and tracked and watched for problems and repriced and everything. But that doesn't mean that the people that you hire will put that kind of value on it. And if they want a smaller chunk, that's wonderful. Go for it. You need to hire multiple people if they will each take a much smaller chunk of what you're asking.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're here to offer flexible work to people who need it, and they're going to decide how flexible. And maybe they will shock you with how flexible they are. As has been my experience. They're going to view your business very differently than you do as an owner. And while you know that intellectually, sometimes you have to meet it personally to realize how much your thinking as the owner has played into what you expect from them.
Yeah.
I find that this can actually work to our benefit when we do contract, or we have an employee or a contractor that, we tend to think of everything from the owner, the 50,000 foot view. And really, when you're hiring someone to do a task or a job, whether it's prepping, shopping, sourcing, whatever those things are, bookkeeping, handling your customer complaints, whatever, if that's all they have to do, don't really have a care in the world other than that one task. They can be way better at it than we ever could be.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
There are so many things that the owner has to do that no one else can. Or that you just haven't taken the time or made enough money to hire out yet. I'd say one of the things that holds people up
Mhm.
is no surprise sourcing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Until you can go out and find excellent listings on a consistent basis, until you have all those thousands of hours in and it's connected with your brain and you just intuitively know things about listings and you get it right because you've worked in this category so much. People really struggle with this business. And it makes sense. If you don't have enough stuff to sell that's high enough quality, that has low returns and a decent margin, all of the rest does not matter. How many steps you take to prep your goods doesn't matter. How many times you pick it up along that way doesn't matter if you don't have enough of them.
Mm-hmm.
All the systems we can put in place, all the efficiencies that we can work on don't matter at all if you can't replace all the listings that you lose on a consistent basis.
And so how do you help your coaching students overcome that part of the business?
I encourage them to keep doing it, to keep on with whatever aspect they've chosen to lay their focus on, be it keep a product finder searching, or if they're using a different tool, or if they have just chosen a regional store that they're going out to and they're trying to pull a broad enough swath from that store to see if it's even online yet.
Mm-hmm.
And just keep putting in those hundreds of hours. There are a few basic skills you have to learn, but after that, it's repetition. You have to do this over and over and over again. And a lot of people don't have the patience for that, Brian.
Mm-hmm.
They keep getting distracted with something else they saw somewhere and something that looks shinier.
I don't know anyone like that.
No one.
Mr. Olson, what did you call yourself? The king of not getting it.
Yeah,
You
but
were pot shotting everything.
just because I wanted to do everything, and
All at once.
what you talk about, Ammi, it's not. It doesn't apply just to new people getting started in the business, right? I heard Jimmy say something very similar. Jimmy Smith, when he had decided to go full time in the business, he thought because he was going full time in Amazon that meant he needed to do every aspect of Amazon. And initially, when he was trying to do that, his business really struggled as a result because you can't do everything, right? And until he came back and focused on the core part of his business and really made that, bolted it down, he had to do that before he could really focus on even entertain anything else.
For sure. You can't split your focus between lots of things and allow yourself to be distracted off of your bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we need the things that keep the lights on and pay all the staff and make sure there's still food in the fridge this week. We also need the things that are more medium term, that take a few months to come to fruition, that will replace the things that are currently making sure everything gets paid. And on top of that, we need the long-term goals, the things that we know won't turn into something for an extended period of time. Maybe that's wholesale. Maybe that's branded bundles. Maybe it's a strategy much lower on the pyramid, but something that we've decided we are in a stable position. We have consistent cash flow. We're making consistent income. We can afford to take a few hours per week and put it into a project that is not where we are today, but where we believe the industry is going next. Knowing that we will put all that time and all that money in week after week after week, thousands of hours and probably thousands of dollars before one day we will see the result of that. But you can't do all of that at the start.
Right.
You have to focus on what's working.
Mm-hmm.
What's working now? How can you make it work better? What's key skills and strategies are you not attaining some level of expertise at? Not that any of us will ever be the expert at sourcing or the expert at sending shipments. It changes. You keep learning your entire life.
Yeah.
But you have to have that minimum level of proficiency before you can choose to entertain the idea and eventually choose to split your focus. a piece to what's working now, what's working well, what's paying the bills, and a piece to what will come next, because you have bolted down your first piece so well that you can afford to split 10 or 15 hours a week off onto this side project that you know will not pay for an extended length of time, and you'll still be okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So this has been a great conversation, and I really appreciate, your approach to this, and you're very methodical. I bet like our minds would be blown if we could see some of your systems and organization processes kind of drawn out, which someday I hope to be able to see. But I do have a couple questions for you before we start to wrap this up. The first one is just kind of the obvious one. You're a coach in the Jim Cockrum coaching program. You know how to do RA, branded bundles, wholesale, a little bit of OA, maybe not your, area of expertise.
In Walmart.
I do not teach OA, but
Right.
even in Walmart.
And Walmart. And are you taking new clients?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
So if someone is hearing this and they feel like they can relate to you, they can ask for Ammi Stover to be their coach if they think that would be a good match for them.
Yep.
Absolutely. And then the coaching office would review the request and
I'm sure they would
see what they could do.
Yeah. Okay, then at least last question for me. Robin, Joy may have another question, but last question for me is, given your 11 years experience here in the e-commerce space and kind of seeing how it's evolved over that time, where do you see e-commerce going in the future, whether that's for you or for the consumer or for other people who are third-party sellers in general?
Back before I got into e-commerce, eBay was the place everyone went, the place shoppers went, the place buyers went. And then the market shifted. And along came Amazon. Buyers went to Amazon, sellers quickly followed. Today, we're facing another shift. I don't think it's as large, and I don't think it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be as much of a shift as that one was. But we're seeing people moving away from Amazon a little bit. Not a ton, but there's a bit more diversification. We're seeing a lot more people shopping on Walmart, Etsy. There are at least 20 little marketplaces. A lot of people I've spoken to amongst the multi-million-dollar sellers are getting into their own website. I've gotten into that just a little bit here this year as well. People are expanding off of Amazon now, and that wasn't really a thing a few years ago. Sure, the really big players did, but under a couple million a year, you didn't really hear of people having multiple marketplaces that they relied on. And yet, we need that. We all know that Amazon could shut us down at any time. We all know that Walmart could shut us down. It's their sandbox. It's not ours. It's one of the beauties of building a brand is that, yes, it's teeny tiny, but it could become something that was substantial, and it is always all yours.
That's right.
So I foresee people diversifying a lot more, gaining more stability, and the whole multiple streams of income concept. You don't do it at the start. At the start, you focus. You choose one thing, probably Amazon. That's where the bulk of customers go. We still have half of online buying happening on Amazon. But once you have that bolted down, so you've been there a few years and you understand it, it makes sense to add another, like Walmart, like eBay, like Etsy, if your products are conducive to that, or any of the other more specialty sites, just to have the stability of a second stream of income. And someday a third and fourth for sure, but at the start, you choose one. One platform, one sourcing method, one niche preferably, so that you learn something about it, and then, like I have, start making assumptions based on that niche, and they come out true. Because I've sold there for so many years. I know what that key figure is. There will always be exceptions.
Sure.
So I love what you said. The word that I took out of that was diversification, right? From the seller standpoint. And that diversification comes in platforms, it comes in streams of income, it comes in brands, and to include.
It comes in sources that you buy from.
Yeah.
At the start, you want to drive to one store and buy all your stuff there. You don't want 2 things from this store, 3 things from that store, and 5 things from the other store.
Yeah.
But once you're getting a whole cart full here, you go to another store and get a whole cart full there. You've diversified where your source of goods is coming from.
Yeah.
Business is a balancing act.
Mm-hmm.
There are no 2 ways around that.
Right.
It's true. Any business isn't it?
Yeah.
And so we must balance everything that goes on in the business, how we source, where we source, in addition to where we put our focus, how much we diversify, when the right time to diversify is, and make sure that what we've built doesn't collapse because we have our foundation in place. We've bolted it down. We've got it working well. And this was a strategic choice to move to an additional thing in the hopes of gaining long-term stability.
I think you nailed it.
I
That was a great summation right there. Did you have any other questions, Robin Joy?
No, I don't. I just want to tell you, Ammi, how grateful we are for you coming and joining us and giving us the tips that you've given us and talking about yourself. It's really encouraging and it's inspirational for me to keep working on those systems and get good at Walmart.
It will all come with time. But before we leave, I do want to say one thing to anyone who's either a coaching student or considering being a coaching student. If you hire a coach, you've hired someone to walk alongside you, to show you the way. And whichever one of us you end up working with, we will be there for you. We will help you. We will move heaven and earth to make this work. But we can only help you if you tell us what you're working on. If a student goes silent, I don't know what they're struggling with. I don't know what they're facing, and I cannot help them because they are not talking to me. So if you have a coach, talk to your coach. If you don't, they can't help you move forward. Yes, it's all on you to actually do it. All that we're here for is to be a sounding board, to tell you, to guide you in what's a really bad decision and what's a reasonably good one, to teach you how we did what we did. We'll give you everything we've got. If you're there, you show up, you do things, you learn, and you communicate and you tell us when you need us and what it is that you need us for. We can do a lot of things. Read minds is not one of them.
You're absolutely right.
This just cements it for me that you do really have the coach's heart, because all of us are in this because we want to help other people be successful. That's the reason that we're doing it. Right. For the coaching part of it. And it doesn't, at least for me, it doesn't check the box if I'm not able to help you be successful. And sometimes we have to know what that is. Sometimes it's obvious. So like if we're in good communication, and there are times when it's not. And so I think your point is well stated.
I do too. That's great. Thanks so much, Ammi.
Ammi, thanks so much for coming on the Coach's Corner podcast. We've really enjoyed having you.
Thanks for having me. This is
You betcha.
fun.
All right. Thanks for joining us, everyone, this week. We look forward to talking with you soon.
Let's go find some more aces.
Let's go find some more aces. Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
Hey, before we let you go, we've got a special segment that we do here once per week with our good friend Jeff Schick from jeffschick.com. He is a legal and policy expert for all things Amazon, Walmart, and e-commerce, and we're excited to have another unique perspective from Jeff this week. So, Jeff, what do you got for us this week?
So we're actually switching gears from Amazon. We're going to talk about Walmart. So
Awesome.
it's, Walmart's the new thing that people are going towards and selling on for e-commerce. I do tell people I think it's the next frontier. If you don't have a Walmart account yet, I highly advise getting it. So far, they've been adding thousands of Chinese sellers a month to the platform. The reason why I say you should go ahead and get it is not because they're adding Chinese sellers. It's because, like all things that Chinese sellers get involved with, it's just going to get ruined for everyone else. So what I mean by that is right now it's it's a registration process. It used to be an application process where you put an application, wait a couple weeks, they come back and they call you, they ask some questions, and then if they think that you're a good fit, they would give you access to the platform and you'd have your account. That's what it was like when I signed up in 2017. About a year or two ago, they switched to a registration process. That was actually, I guess it was October of 2022. So it's about 2 years ago, where you could actually just go on to walmart.com, click register, and you'd get an account number. And you just had to go through the onboarding and meet some of their qualifications. The reason why I say that this is important is because with the rise of Chinese sellers, and we're seeing an increase in infringement and black hat tactics and things like that, there's a very good likelihood that they're going to switch back to an application process to try to secure the marketplace a little bit better. So if you want to avoid the application process and just go ahead and get an account now, it's beneficial because you get your account number, you get it established. So far, what I've experienced is that it stays active even if you don't sell anything. So every time I log in, which is like once every few weeks, it still says on my Amazon or my Walmart account, active in good standing, even though I haven't sold anything since 2017. So it's very worthwhile. Now, alongside that, I promised you guys some information about what we're seeing. We are seeing Walmart suspensions. So we've had about 5 sellers suspended on Walmart so far this year. We've gotten all of them back. So 100% success rate, which I'm proud of. And it just goes to show that Walmart is still, really a new platform that's easy to work with because they're still giving people second chances on certain things. Number one thing we're seeing people suspended for, though, has to do with inventory management. And so a lot of sellers are using inventory management software and they might not understand all the settings. And so they're, either they're pricing things inappropriately. Like we had someone accidentally sell things for $1 and they were like expensive items. They went in, they canceled all the orders, and then got suspended for high order cancellation rate. That was, so then we wrote an appeal and got them reinstated. But if you're using inventory management software that sets pricing, make sure that it's set up properly because you can't just go in and cancel orders because you sold things too cheaply. That's a violation on Walmart. Similarly, if you're using inventory management software, you want to make sure that it's accurately updating. So it should be linked properly so that your inventory is the same across Amazon and Walmart. So if you are a merchant fulfilling stuff for Amazon FBM and Walmart fulfillment, you want to make sure that if you have 5 units in stock and you sell 1 on Amazon, that you're now go down to 4 on Walmart and Amazon. Where that becomes a problem is sometimes the software will still show 5 on Walmart. And then if you go in and sell 5, you've oversold. And then that order counts as an order cancellation. And again, just like if you price too high, we've had, 3 sellers get suspended this year just for selling items they didn't actually have in stock because their inventory of software was wrong. So we're able to get them back, but it'd be better to not be suspended in the first place. So
have you noticed that the process is pretty similar to Amazon from a Walmart side, or is it easier, more difficult? How is that from an account health perspective on your end?
Very, very similar to how Amazon used to be. So it's there was some speculation that Walmart had hired a bunch of Amazon representatives to manage their suspension practice. And it probably is true because how they act is how Amazon used to be in the back in the old days. So the process is refreshingly simple compared to before. You just have to be able to accurately identify the issue and come up with corrective actions. That they're really big on their corrective actions. So you can't just say like, I'll do better. You actually have to say, I'm going to do better by doing X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, sub bullet points, I, 2, 3, and so forth. They really want a lot of detail on what you did wrong and how you're going to fix it. But if you can identify that and fix it, they're willing to give people second chances.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, as you mentioned, for anybody that's interested in opening up their Walmart account now, they should go and check that out. Also, we've got the Walmart course within this community is at provenamazoncourse.com/Walmart. If you're interested in seeing some of the content and community for that. But yes, Jeff, you do specialize in all things, whether it's Amazon or Walmart or other e-commerce platforms. So if you're interested in looking at Jeff for his retainer services for Walmart and Amazon, go ahead and check out jeffschick.com. That link will be in the show notes if you to need to access it there. Jeff, thanks so much for being here this week. Looking forward to seeing you next week.
Sounds good. You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye.